Oh, Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir, MP for Mvita in Mombasa. Now let me start by telling you about myself. Where I am here, I am very much at home. I am an alumni of this university. Okay. And I started teaching at this university at the tender age of 25. My department is just the one opposite here. And I would be there, and I would walk across here, going to the senior common room, which is this other side. So therefore, I'm so happy, and I've actually given talks in the Taifa Hall and even this hall so many times. And therefore, I'm at home. But I will tell you later on my story, who is Raila Odinga. Let me respond to some of the issues that have been raised. The first, I will not necessarily do it in chronological order because some of them were basically repeated the others. The issue of youth, 30% jobs, and you see, it's not just a question of 30%. You're talking about a government of the youth. I believe strongly that we need to make use of the youth energy that we have in this country. And as you rightly quote the figures, over 70% of our population are below the age of 35. That is a motive force. So the youth can be either a blessing or a curse, depending on the way you make use of them. For now, up to now, the youth have been like a curse because they have not been given the requisite tools to be able to contribute properly to the society. You know, if you don't give them education and necessary skills, they become a drag on society. They become drug addicts, they become delinquents, they become criminals. But if they're properly empowered, then they become proper source for wealth creation. And that's why we need to attend properly to this issue of youth. So we said, and you saw in the BBI, we said very good things. We said that we not only wanted to create a youth department, but a ministry of youth affairs. And to create also a national youth commission under that ministry, a constitutional commission, if you look at the BBI. And that commission was going to ensure that whatever has been promised in policy documents is actually implemented. When you're talking about 30% of all contracts or jobs from the national government and county government, who is there to ensure that it is being implemented? There must be a mechanism, a constitutional commission that will ensure that each and every county is actually implementing that provision, that all contracts that are being awarded, at least 30% go to companies owned by the youth. And it talks about mentorship for the youth and like having the youth summits for the youth. Jane should have told you here that when I was a prime minister, I had round table with the business community and I had also a round table with the youth that were being held quarterly. and it was being held religiously quarterly, so that we can be able to get feedback from the youth. What are the problems that are affecting the youth, and how are we doing? So they don't need to be convinced. It is something that I've already tried before, and therefore it will be part of my policy. Cabinet, at least 4 in the cabinet, I can say it will be more than 4. And then the third point that he made, the fourth point, was corruption. Corruption is actually killing this country. You heard President Uhuru Kenyatta saying that 2 billion shillings is going down the drain on a daily basis in this country. That may be true. But you see, he is helpless to do it. Because to do it, you need to actually revolutionize the government and carry out major reforms. We did it when we came into government with President Kibaki in 2003. When we came to the government, we found a bankrupt economy. The government was under collecting revenue. They are collecting a total of 200 billion shillings on a 500 billion shilling budget. Means that 300 billion shillings, they were depending on the donors, international community. So when the donors closed the taps, Moi had no other reason but to agree to those conditions, to agree to opening up, repealing Section 2A to allow for formation of other political parties. But then, when we went in, we thought seriously about it. And this trick I also later on sold to my friend in Tanzania, the late John Pombe Magufuli. The government is revenue and expenditure. So what did we do? We looked at revenue collection. They're under-collecting. The rates were also very high, and therefore the government did not have sufficient funds. You look around. The customs officers, the Kenya Revenue Authority officers, those who are collecting income tax and so on, and the procurement officers are the boys in town, the ones who are purchasing apartment blocks, the ones who are driving the latest model of cars, they're the ones who are building castles in the rural areas, the ones who are building high-rise buildings in village markets, and so on. So they do a lifestyle audit for these people. When we did lifestyle audit, over 70% of them were incorrigibly corrupt, and they were sent home. So we brought in new officers. There was fresh air. Revenue started rising. From 200 billion, it went to 5. It went to 7, to 9. We reached $1 trillion. A billion, sorry. Sorry, $1 trillion for the first time. And everybody was happy. For the first time, we could finance all our development projects without having to borrow from outside. 95% of our development project was funded from domestic resources. We only borrowing 5%. And the economy began to grow. We found zero growth, negative growth. It went to 2%, to 3%, 5%. We reached 7% rate of growth, the highest since in the history of Kenya under that regime. We were determined to go to double digits and maintain it there for more than 10 years, 10 to 15 years, because we had come up with Vision 2030, which was aimed at pulling this country from a poor third world economy to a middle income status by the year 2030. So we were very clear. Every year we were doing assessment of how we were doing. Today we would have been very far. The issues of COVID and appointment of diplomatic service and so on, that is fine. You can take that for granted. That